Hey, good morning. Here we are, July 31st on a Wednesday. Yesterday we did the Teton National Park, which was pretty cool. You know, the smoke, the fires, we caught some incredible film, which, not the greatest film in the world. Very, very smoky out there. We ended up in Cody, Wyoming, which is pretty cool. Today we're going to head to a Little Bighorn Monument up in Montana, the Crow Agency area. And then from there, we're going to head to Buffalo, hold up in Buffalo, because it's way too far to get to Rapid City and Mount Rushmore. So we'll probably do that. I don't know. We still got a couple of days before we get there. We still got to stop at Devil's Tower yet in Wyoming and on the east end. So we'll do that. Anyway, hang in there with us. I'm sure there'll be plenty to see today. And we'll catch you on the road as usual. All right? Ciao. Okay, so we're back on the road, headed to Little Bighorn. As you can see, the day today is much, much clearer than it has been the past few days. A lot of the smoke has either blown out or went away or something. I don't know what, but it sure is a beautiful day out. So just wanted to give you a little view of something you really couldn't see yesterday, but you'd see a little bit better of today. So we'll just keep trucking down the road. Got about a 2-hour ride or so we'll get to it and we'll see you a little later. All right, here we have a pretty good view of some of the Wyoming mountains. Pretty cool out here. Very deep. As you can see, definitely less smoke clouds and fog and mist, whatever they had for the past few days. Pretty clear today. Nice sights out here. Vast amounts of land. Yeah, this is pretty cool. We'll just keep filming for a few minutes, give you a little view of this terrain here in Wyoming. Coming out of Cody, headed back into Montana for a few hours and then back into Wyoming again. So this is pretty cool stuff. Love this landscape. This is definitely different. Probably a lot of homes and ranches out here. All right, let's truck on down the road. We'll film in when we get there. All right, we're back. We are on 90 East, headed for Little Bighorn. We are now entering Billings, Montana, or passing through Billings, Montana. So once again, we've gone through the big state, the big city of Montana. All right, 90 East, as I said. Just trucking down the road. Still got about another 60 miles to go, which isn't bad. And when we get there, we'll get some good shots in, I hope. Big city here. I feel like I'm back in the city a little bit. And we're off to the races. So we'll check back in a little while. Just wanted to give you a little update of where we're at. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, so we just get off the exit, Little Bighorn Battlefield. So we'll go check out the monument and the memorial and all that, and we'll see what the deal is. Let's see, where do we go from here? All right, so we've finally entered into Little Bighorn. Now we'll let these people go. There's the cemetery of all the people that were killed in that battle. That's probably be all right. Well, we'll have to get down there and let's get a little parking space here. Maybe we can find a little handicap deal here, and we'll get up to the visitor center and we'll get a little bit more information. Not that crowded, which is a good thing, but this should be pretty interesting for a little while. Get a nice walk in and all that stuff, so it's pretty cool. I think maybe I'm just gonna slide in right here. Yeah, there's a handicap right there. That works for me. So we'll just slide right in here. In fact, we'll get on the last one, next to last one, and we're in Lake Flint. All right, we'll get back in a little bit. All right, so we've made it to Little Bighorn, and I just want to give you a little preview of, we got a lot of the dead soldiers and probably Indians from here, so we're going to turn this around a little bit. Okay, and there you have some of the buried General George Custer's 7th Cavalry Regiment, along with their Crow and Arikara scouts from the Battle of June 25th and 26th of 1876. The battle was against the Lakota Sioux, Northern Cheyenne, and Arapaho tribes. The Lakota tribes consisted of Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, as we well know. This kind of reminds me of the Arlington Cemetery a little bit, but a bit smaller version. Definitely a pretty unique memorial here, I tell you. It's pretty classy. Well, it looks like we're going to do a lot of walking here today. So just wanted to just get you a little perspective of what the deal is, and we'll be back in a few minutes and show you more. Hang in there. All right, so this is a cemetery for all the ancestors of the Battle of Bighorn. Here's one from California, Corporal, World War I, died in 1970. So that's what this is. This is a monument to all the relatives of the Indians and soldiers that were killed in Little Bighorn. So this is just part of the field, but we're going to get in the car now and go down the road and see exactly what we find. So hang in there for a bit. Yeah, it's quite the place. All right, so we're out of here. See you. And I just wanted to capture the flags of the American flag and the POW flag. That's pretty cool. Man, what an amazing sight out here, though. This is Montana, that's for sure. All right, we're gonna jump in the car and head down to the end and find some trails and listen to some what do you call it, some stories on the way up. All right, we shall return. Yep. Yeah, this area was occupied by the troops A, B, C, D, G, H, and K, and M, 7th and 5th Cavalry. This is pretty cool up here. You know, I'm just going to film this, really. I'll do all the documentation later. But this is the this is the crazy battle here. This is the Reno Benteen defense. This is where it all started. And well, we're just gonna give you a whole big landfill of this here. It is pretty cool. It is beautiful up here. Beautiful. Beautiful, and at the same time sad that there was such a destructive battle here. But we're going to work our way up the hill and then back down. But you know, down towards those fields way down yonder is where actually the Indians resided. It was like 25,000 of them, was something like that. I got to reread it. But I think 2,500 of them were warriors, and they're the ones that really fought against Custer. So I just want to give you a a little shot of this, you know. It's pretty cool. Yeah, we're gonna walk down here a ways, but just to give you a little bit more of the scope of the land. It's insane here. It's pretty cool. Actually got some headstones here, so let's check those out. Some people buried here just overlooking this vast area. Let's see, we have a Private Thomas E. Company H, 7th Cavalry, killed in June 26, 1876. So Private Thomas E. Meadow was part of the cavalry that was killed here, which is so sad. And then you have another one here, Private Julian Jones, also of the 7th Cavalry, killed on the same day. So what they did was they put two fellas here that were killed at these spots. Probably buried them exactly where they were killed. Pretty crazy stuff. And here's like another little memorial here. Let's see, it's just called, let's see, trying to read it. The Onka Shanka Long Road. The Sanzok Sioux warrior. The Sanzok Sioux warrior died here also on the same day, June 26, 1876, while defending his home and the Sioux way of life. So this is definitely the landscape. Man, it's pretty cool. All right, let's march down. We're going to go up the road a little bit and get a little more. Okay, so this is part 2 of the fight of Little Bighorn River, which you can see down at the end. And these are the hills, all up and down these hills where the Indians congregated. Pretty cool. Man, this is some vast area though. Some pretty vast area. Pretty cool. I'm just going to swing this around just to get another little touch of the other side, which really isn't much, but it's pretty cool. All right. So here we go. This is the second part of the battle, and we're going to move on to the third. This is what is known as a Sharpshooter Hill. So just to give you a little preview, this is where a lot of Custer's men came in there. You know, he had a lot of sharpshooters in this area. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool area here. You can see it. See the slopes, how they are. Good spots for a sharpshooter. I'm going to twirl around and come across the other end here real quick, just to show you part of the Sharpshooter Hills, how they were situated to pick off the Indians, anybody that came through the river. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to get some pictures now. So this is Weir Point, when they got up on this hill here with binoculars and all, and started to oversee everything. So this is pretty cool area here too. Very windy out here today, but this was pretty much their lookout, and this is where they would see all the action down the hill, way down yonder. All right, so we'll check back in. Out here is what is called the Medicine Tail Kukule, little bighorn battlefield. So this is all part of it here. Yeah, we got a nice stretch, you know. I mean, they fought over a 14-mile area, which is kind of insane when you think about it. But you know, you're talking about, you know, probably about 15,000 soldiers on both sides, you know, combined on both sides. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Just wanted to give you a little shot of the area, and we'll get some pictures in too. All right, let's keep it going. This particular area here is called Medicine Trail Ford. This is where pretty much a lot of the regiments marched out from. You could almost see the tracks. They kind of left them intact. So that's pretty cool. And you know, went around these little hills here, and then they went into battle. So that's pretty cool. All right, we're gonna go take some pictures and move on. We'll see you in a bit.
The sun arose far to the east, where we had once been born. The orders had been given to be riding before morn. Mounted men on cavalry, we faced a trail of thorns in the valley of the Little Bighorn. Reno, Benton, and Custer led our command that day to slaughter Sioux and Cheyenne, camped beyond the glade. Well, who would see survival and who would be forlorn in the valley of the Little Bighorn? I was a soldier who rode to the tune of the bugler's Gary Owen on a June afternoon. Away from my loved ones, away from my home, apart from the woman that I held as my own. A leave will be granted to the man without help, kills the first savage and brings me his scalp. For what is the reason?
So in this area here, if you're briefly counted near the river, Custer's two companies retreat up the ravine to your right, which is right up here. It's known as Deep Coulee. The remainder of Custer's command skirmishes with warriors on the high ridge a half-mile to your right, seizing the initiative. Crow King, Gal, and Two Moons lead warriors' pursuit of the retreating soldiers. Man, this is pretty cool stuff here. While Custer was firing at the cut bank was in progress, I saw no bodies of Indians. All right, that's what they say. So anyway, this is it. Deep Coulee. All right, we're moving on. Well, this is where Crazy Horse had his battle, in this area here. So this is pretty cool. You could see a lot of the stones down below of a lot of the soldiers and Indians that were killed. We're gonna turn our attention to the other side of the road. See what we see here. And this is part of another ridge. And we could see a lot of these. Well, I don't know if you could pick it up, but you got red stones. Symbolize some of the Indians. And maybe even, well, we know where Crazy Horse had surrendered eventually in Nebraska. So this is pretty cool stuff. All right, so that's it. I think that wraps up. I think we have one more memorial to hit, and then we're out of here. So this is where General Custer had his last stand, and they have a tombstone for him in there. I'm going to try to zoom in and get a picture of it, but this was the last stand. So this is pretty cool. I'm just going to toss you around and just get a little piece of this memorial in here. This was pretty awesome. We're just going to just walk around it. Just get a pretty good look of it. Yeah. It's about 220 soldiers buried in this little plot. Probably wasn't much left of them. But that's pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, just going to get all four corners. This way you get to see the whole deal. And these are the soldiers. They're all in there. All right, let me get a couple of pictures in. This is some of the landscape. This was the last stand. We'll be back. Alrighty now, so we finished up with Little Bighorn. That was quite the trip. I tell you, it was beautiful there. Very surreal, actually. Got a lot of pictures in and a little bit of videos, little clips at a time. It was more of a scenic thing with your eyes than it was to video, being that it was just all landscape and you know, just history itself. Anyway, we're headed now back into Wyoming, into Buffalo, Wyoming, where we'll hold up for the day. And then tomorrow, I think we're going to be headed towards Devil's Tower and then into Sturgis and Deadwood. Then the following day, we'll follow that up with Custer Park, Crazy Horse, and Mount Rushmore. So that should be pretty interesting. So just wanted to give you a little feel of the landscape out here. Got a beautiful clear day today for a change. Not too much smoke on the mountains, as you can see. Clouds are awesome. Landscape is awesome. Still got about a little less than 70 miles to go. Maybe about less than an hour. Yeah, just enjoying the ride today. Get back to the hotel, unpack, get settled in, go grab a bite to eat, and do what we usually do and rest up for tomorrow. So hang in there with us, and we'll see you when we get to Buffalo. we are now entering Sheridan, Wyoming. Do a little pit stop here, find a little ATM machine, because we need a little extra cash. Let's see, gas is $3.46. That's not bad. That's right. That's Maverick. They're pretty cheap. Yep. Okay. You got Exxon here. Let's see. Pretty cool town in here. Let's see. We're gonna find an ATM machine. I think it's at a Walgreens. Hey, you got Midas Buffalo. Haven't seen them around. All right. So we're gonna make this little turn around here by the Mill Inn. About a quarter of a mile down the road. Let's see what we find. And there's McDonald's again. The old famous McDonald's. You got a Home Depot, you got a Walmart. Let's see. And there's Walgreens on the left. So let's head down the road. Yeah, pretty cool town, this Sheridan. Got a lot of stuff going on here. Got your plazas, and got everything. Let's see. Hey, you got your Arby's, a lot of those. Alright, Walgreens has got to be right here. Alright, so we're going to fly into there. We'll be back. Oh, a little bit more scenic view of Wyoming. Another beautiful country, beautiful state. A lot to see here. A lot of good scenery. All right, so we're about 20 miles out of Buffalo, Wyoming, where we're going to hold up for the day and for the night and get some rest in for tomorrow's next part of the journey, which will be Devil's Tower, get into Sturgis, a little Deadwood. Should be a pretty interesting day tomorrow. Should be pretty cool. I know Maureen's going to enjoy it. Today was we just did a little Bighorn, and that was really enough for the day. We just had to stop somewhere. So that's what we did today. So anyway, we'll catch up to you when we get to Buffalo, Wyoming. Well, we finally made it to Buffalo, Wyoming. So here we are. Our place of residence is about 2 miles down the road. Let's see what the town has to offer. Should be interesting. I went the wrong way. Did you notice that? All right. Let's see what I have to do now to get back on. I thought that was the exit. I thought it was the exit.
It's 56B, but you can go this way.
Yes, we can. So I got off the wrong turn, which is really not a big deal. Because we're only a mile away.
Farmland.
Not a whole lot to see out here.